Hi guys, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. So I'm on with something a little different today. In August, I went for a stay at a lovely friend's place who was Lacey Creations on YouTube. I'll link her down below. And of course, I raided her room with all her crafty goodies. And in there was this basket. Now, it's one of these huge wicker laundry baskets. And rather than having to put every little bit away, she'd put her scraps and just spare pages and all sorts of stuff into this basket. I thought it'd be fun just over the course of a day to raid it and make myself a scrappy journal just using basically her scraps. So I thought we would do a little flip through of this junky journal that I made while I was at Carolyn's. Now, I did try to stick mostly to just using items out of her scrap bin. So I didn't do a lot of inking. I didn't have all the tools and that I have at home. So it was great fun to work like that in a limited environment and just use someone else's scraps. So I tried to just pick out the scraps that weren't all the really good ones. It was very tempting. She had a lot of Edith Holden scraps and things like that, but I was like, no, I want to make it a bit of a challenge to myself. So we will jump in and see what I made. So I asked Carolyn if she had any old book covers, and she had this beautiful old grungy book cover that I could use. She had given me a bit of this. It's almost like a sari sort of ribbon. So I've used that just to help make the spine a little bit more sturdy because it is quite old. Just decorate it a little bit. You can see the glue through, but I don't really mind. Might even add to that in the future. It's the type of journal that I'll probably be just adding little bits of junk to here and there for fun. So for the cover, I've just got some of her scraps of graph paper, 2 different types, a little offcut of some wallpaper there that I had left around. She did have a few little digitals and ephemera bits in a scrap bin, so I have used just some little bits of that sort of thing. So I've got this one here. Could even be some scrapbook paper bits. This is vellum, I think, that's been printed on, scrap of that. This little, I think it's a journaling card. And then this little word, I don't know if it's a Tim Holtz one or whatever. As I said, what I did was just because our scrap bin was so big and full of stuff, I just grabbed a couple of handfuls of stuff and then went to use it. You saw before that I showed a photo of how I was sort of putting the signatures together. So I used her wallpaper scrap to make a little pocket here. Haven't finished this yet, but it's just a scrap bit of card. And I've got this bit that I got. As I said, it's mostly her scraps. I'll point out if I think anything's not some of her scraps, but it's all out of her scrap bin. I thought that Welcome Friends would be a nice one to put on a journal card that slips in there. I did use just some botanical book text to reinforce the spine, and then I used some of the sort of sari roll as well on there. Wasn't sort of quite thick enough to help strengthen the spine. That's why I used the paper underneath. So there was some wrapping paper which I loved, so I used some of that. Folded it over to make another pocket. Scrap of paper that can be written on. Here's some of the vellum that's been printed on that I used on the front cover there. I think it's been tea dyed as well, and I liked that, so I thought I'd pinch that. This was something that had been printed out about essential oils. Now, some of the pages are a bit messy and I don't like or whatever, so they will have something stuck over the top. I haven't finished this really or embellished it much at all. I really just put it together. So I've got an offcut of the same paper here that I've just used there. This flips out and there's a pocket in here. Looks like some scrapbook paper there. It's like butcher's paper. I think that's a printable. And this was almost antique or even antique drawer liner. that Carolyn had in her scrap bin. Had to pinch a bit of that. Anything botanical and old and grungy I sort of grabbed. And that is a page pocket as well. And in there I just put some paper, I think, or a bit more of card. Yeah, okay, I've cut off some scrapbook paper, I think. So that'll make a nice journal card. That's that Reader's Digest book, I think. Then there was some of this ledger. And there were a couple of rub-ons and stickers and that had found their way into a scrap bin. So I used some of those as well. So that just flips up like that. And it's got the dyed paper underneath. But it also flips down like that. So you can write underneath and on both sides of the ledger. And then it just flips over the page like that. Some dictionary page, just had these words, I thought they were cool, so I put them there. It says how life has changed. Yes, it has. Middle of signature, I think I did 3 signatures in this, so just tea dyed paper there. So I did fussy cut. She had one page out of one of the really cool, I don't know if it's Wildflowers of the World or one of those books where you get a whole page full of beautiful flowers and plants. So I did a bit of fussy cutting out of that, and that's probably where I got this picture as well as that one. Then a bridge score sheet. Now, the washi tape was not in her scrap bin. I did pinch a little bit of a washi tape when she wasn't looking, just to attach that, because I wanted it as a flip up. And that's probably about the only thing that wasn't in her scrap bin. Butterfly and moth paper, which I think is cardstock. This beautiful picture on some lined paper. I just used little offcuts. This looks like some wrapping paper or some printed out paper. And it's just covering up the text that was on the Reader's Digest page there because I didn't like it very much. That one I don't mind too much. Some more dyed paper, other side of the printable. So this is all the other sides of the papers that I've showed you. Another pocket there. Then this is the second signature. And I used some of her wallpaper scrap. Some more dictionary page. We grabbed a few of her embossed scraps and we were trying some of your hot foil on it. And I love the way it come up. Really nice. Stuck it in here as a top pocket. Some of her scraps. She had one of the bits off of the pianola roll. I love those, so I thought I'd use that as a tag tab. So that just slips in there. Writing space underneath. Crease in there. This is beautiful, this paper. It's got some, I don't know if it's got mica powder or something in it when it was dyed. You can see all the glistening on it, which is a beautiful idea. I must try some of that. A paper bag. There's a pocket there, and of course you can use the pocket in there. I'll just put some wallpaper on there now. Some pianola roll. This is just your shopping bag or whatever paper. Middle of the signature dictionary page, and Carolyn had given me, she had a box that was full of this thread. And it's quite strong, so she gave me half the box of that, I think. So heaps and heaps, and I thought I would just tie in the signatures with that because I was trying to use just stuff that I got from there. She had a page, I think it was a page of this, was it? And did I cut it down and glue it? Or was it? No, this was the size it was, I think. Although it does look a bit cut. Hard to tell. So anyway, I stuck it on there as a flip up. So it's a pocket in both sides, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And a pocket this side as well. And then it's a top pocket there on the other side. Tissue paper. if that's the other side of the paper bag. Yeah, it's the other side of the paper bag. There's a pocket there and probably a pocket in the top. Or I can make it a pocket in the top if I want. It's been a while since I've looked at this. So she had this plastic cover off of something. And I thought, well, I don't want to waste that either. Let's have some fun with that. So I've stuck it down, so I'm pretty sure it's a pocket behind. I've just put some of her scrapbooking paper in there. And I love the way that looks, looking at it behind there. And then you can open that up and it's got a bit of writing paper in there. And then I made this little journal card with offcuts. Just lined it with some of her, I don't know if that's a tissue paper that's been dyed. And then another one of the plants off of that one page of botanicals. So there's some of the botanical page too. It's nice and colourful and I didn't want to waste it. It's a pocket with this beautiful corrugated paper and some offcut of doily. And this is some awesome tissue paper that she has. I think she's given me a bit of that, or I've got some more in my scrap bin anyway, but it's lovely and it feels so silky, but it's got a beautiful floral pattern on it as well. So I thought I'd just stick that down over this dictionary page. And that's the end of that signature. And then the final signature, I have some more wrapping paper. And I've backed that with some of her dyed paper that has the mica or something in it. Very pretty. Butcher's paper. This is just sort of glossy-ish paper. What's this one? Your shorthand book. Another paper bag. I was pinching all the paper bags out of her scrap bin. There was this printable, so I thought I would put that on the paper bag because I like the way it looks. Envelope that's been dyed, room to put something in there. I've just put some writing paper there. Then there's a blueprint there for joining plywood sheets for building a boat. Page out of a garden book. So I tried to go for more boring sort of pages. As I said, I didn't want to pinch all the good stuff because just because she calls it a scrap bin doesn't mean it's scraps for the rubbish, does it? It's when she's crafting and she doesn't want to put stuff away, she throws it in the scrap bin. So I didn't want to pinch all the good stuff. She would have let me though. And the basket's huge. You would have seen it before. It's huge. It's full of so much cool stuff. Got so excited when I saw it. It's a matte page that had already been ripped for me, I'm pretty sure it was. So that's the centre of the signature. So this is a flip out. And there was this beautiful piece off of the back of a music book, I think it is. And then some lace that I've added to it, which was probably in her scrap bin, or else she gave it to me, so I added it. Can't remember. Then I think this is, yeah, I think this was the Tim Holtz wallpaper by memory. And I've made that into a pocket. And that's the paper bag too, so we could probably cut that open at the top or the side if we want. Made a belly band with this, which I think is wallpaper as well. Nice writing page. That would be a printable, I think. It's been tea dyed. Vic's illustrated catalogue. Like the colour on that. So it's sort of got a slight botanical theme to it. And then at the back, I used another paper bag out of a scrap bin. Added some of the Reader's Digest picture there. So it's a pocket in there. But what you can do is open it up and you've got a pocket. Oh, no, leave that there, Nat. You can open it up and shove stuff right back there and in this middle part and in there. And you've sort of got hidden bits there. So it opens up that way. And I've just decorated these pages ready to put writing space on or to decorate further. I grabbed one of the tags, printable tags that was in her scrap bin. That slips in here, if I can get it in there. Yeah, hang on, I think I've got double pocket here, yeah. So that slips right in down into the bag, but because of the way the bag's made, you've got this little bit here that you could slip something smaller into, which I might do. And then I get confused about which way this flips out. Lots of writing space on the inside. And some more of her wrapping paper. And this is some of your beautiful paper that comes in your old fashioned photo albums that has that cobweb pattern on it. So I used a bit of that down there. And then is it a, I can't remember if it's a pocket, I think it might be. No, I didn't make it a pocket behind because we've got enough pockets in there. So that's the back of it. So that is my scrappy journal that I made at Carolyn's. And I think while I've got you on, we might get on and just, I did bring a handful of her scraps back home. I might even add some of my own scraps in the future. But we might just stick a few more bits in here while we've got it out. That might be a bit of fun. So this is the tub that I took to Carolyn's that I brought back, and it has a handful or two of her scraps in there. And right in the bottom it has a couple of mine, but not many. So I think we'll dig into that and find a few bits that we can add. I might just stick a whole lot of it out on my desk. And I'll go through it. I'll probably do a voiceover or something for this so I can catch up on YouTube. Got the puppy sleeping next to me, so I'll be quiet and get some crafting done with this. Oh yeah, I've got some fun stuff in here. Look at it all. Just nabbed a whole lot of rubbish. I love it. So I've got this piece here. It's like cardstock. I don't know if it's been printed on or it come out of a scrapbooking kit or something, but it's got a beautiful blue tone to it and a lovely pink butterfly. And I thought that the side with the butterfly would be good to write on. I found this part of a napkin that I nabbed from Carolyn, and I'm thinking of covering the other side with that. So I'll make this the front, and then the lines and the butterfly can be on the writing side. So I just used some tape there folded over to remove the layers of napkin that were on the back. The plain layers. Using my stick glue, making sure I apply it really well around the edges. I want it to hold my napkin down well on the edges. Now you can see that the napkin is quite crinkled, but when you use stick glue, you can usually just rub gently with your fingers and get most of the crinkles out. Or ball up a tissue and use that to rub the crinkles out. Just got to go gentle because I always get a bit rough in the end and rip a bit of the napkin. So just trimming any excess overhang off. Then I find this bit of grey paper. And I thought that would be nice down the edges of my journal card just to frame the napkin picture. So I'm not doing anything too fandangled here. Not that I ever do anything too fandangled, but just having fun with the scraps that I grabbed. Making some little pieces to put in my scrappy journal. It's quite a liberating way of making a journal and adding bits and pieces, especially when you're used to using a lot of digitals and feeling the pressure of doing like cool stuff. It's nice to just let go and say, okay, I'm just going to throw some scraps together and sort of an organic way of crafting, which I enjoy at times. Just got a butterfly sticker there, looking where that might go, but I end up leaving that for today's session. So I'm flicking through to see where my journal cards are going to fit. Got a lot of pockets in that where it could go. But most of the ones I slip it into, I figure it doesn't really go very well. end up with the paper bag at the back of the journal and I slip it into the little pocket there. So now I want to work on a tag/journal card for the front. I showed in the flip through that I had a blank piece of card there and just that welcome friends text. And I want to use that. I've got some beautiful scrapbook paper there, and it would go real nice on that. It doesn't really match with the other page. So I find another napkin. Not sure if I got this out of Carolyn's scrap bin or it was something that I got from the op shop, but it was real wrinkled, so I threw it into my scrap pile. So I'm just ripping that up, and I think I will again cover this piece of cardstock with some napkin. It was just very crooked on one side, so I thought I would cut that down a bit. Thought I'd put the nice scrapbook paper aside because I'll probably use that elsewhere in my journal. So again, just liberal amounts of my glue stick, making sure I stick it really nicely to the edges and just rubbing out the creases. Here you can see I've balled up a bit of the blank napkin just to help rub the creases out a bit. It's a bit softer than using your fingers to use a tissue or something. So I can see there that I've put a little hole with my rubbing into that napkin, but it's okay because we are adding a few bits to this as well. So I'm going to cut down my words. I was looking at them thinking, oh, they're so wide, I should ink them or something, but I'm trying really hard not to use ink or anything like that. I can always go into this journal later and colour bits in and add fancy stuff if I want, but for now it's just a point of just using the scrappy bits and pieces to make things. So there was this piece of embossed paper. It's quite a light paper and it's been embossed with some text. Looks really cool. So I thought I'd rip some of that out and see how it looked on my little journal card. I'll stick my words down, and then I can go and stick my embossed paper down. I'm using the acetone-based glue for this because the paper's so thin. I just find that it doesn't wet it as much, and you don't see the lumps of glue underneath. I think I'm using the Helmar 450 there for that. And then I've got the Helmar tacky glue in my little bottle, little squeeze bottle with the fine tip. So I'm just raiding my scrap pieces and seeing what else I might like to put on here. I've got all sorts of little bits of ephemera. It's funny because, you know, in the craft room we end up with a lot of bits of scrap and that on the floor. So I was cleaning off Carolyn's floor and picking every little bit of crud off of her floor to use in my crafting. Yeah, pretty desperate, isn't it? But she had some cool stuff on her floor. Little bits of ephemera and that. So that journal card's finished and fits nicely into its spot. Now I have this piece of graph paper that's folded over and I want to use that as a flip to be able to write on. I think I might put it onto this dictionary page. I've got this botanical page that has a few of those nice green pictures there. So I'm looking at that one and thinking it'll make a nice pocket on the opposing page. So I end up just cutting it a bit wonky like, trimming it down so it fits nicely. And we've got a quick and easy pocket to put on the bottom, and it goes really nicely on the yellow tones of that paper as well. So I'll just add my glue to the 3 edges to keep the top open. Now I'm just debating what I want to use next to my graph paper, because I don't really like the look of the dictionary page next to it. So I thought I would rip out some more of my yellow page, just some of the text there, and use that to cover up some of the white and the words. I think that looks nice. Makes it go a lot nicer with the page next door as well. Now there are words there. I think it's something about dried flowers, is it? Choosing your flowers. Oh, choosing your flowers. And I like that text, so I'm going to put that on top of my pocket page. Then back to our graph paper here. And I thought I'd make that a little tuck spot as well. So I'm just applying glue to the top and the bottom. I can stick that down, so we'll still be able to flip up the paper because it's folded. But it's a nice little tuck spot. So now I want to find some pieces to put in my tuck spot and my pocket there. So I find this, it's a bit like brown card, brown craft card, and I think that looks really cool. So I'm going to put that in my little tuck spot. And then I'm going through my scraps and I come across this piece of paper that's had a stamp tested on it. And I thought that would look nice in my pocket. So now we're just having a look back at the bits we've added today. I hope you enjoyed that. I shall probably plan it again with you sometime. Take care, be good, and see you again soon.